Dow Commissions, disabilityartsonline.org.uk. Towards Harmony. Music composition by Lloyd Coleman.
Right, well it's, what time is it? It's 10 to 2 on Friday afternoon, a couple of hours now until the concert this evening. Southbank Sinfonia players have arrived here in Bristol. The Paraorchestra have been rehearsing all week as well. So we're now about to do the last full rehearsal of Towards Harmony before the performance this evening, which is very, very exciting. And been very pleased with the way it's going so far. Just a few tweaks to make to things like balance and making sure that the piece sounds balanced in this new acoustic of Colston Hall. So that's what we're going to be doing for the next hour or so.
Okay, D, 2 bars before up, it, up. Here we go. Straight in, Jen. On D, 2, 3, 4.
I love the new tempo. Everything is now playable. Whereas before, it was like,
Yeah.
I don't think they'd move that fast for about 30 years, you know.
A million miles an hour. I'm much happier with this tempo now, I think.
It's great. And then are you happy with the tempo at the end?
Yes. What do you think?
I like it. I like it.
I
thought it was very fruity. You know,
fruity.
When he took that very slow.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. No.
I said, "Are you serious? Are we?"
Well, yeah. The thing is,
it was nice. I loved it.
Yeah. Well, I think he went.
It works. It looks. Sorry.
No. Well, I think he went too far the other way first. I thought he went too majestic and too epic.
Yeah.
And then I said, just kind of a little bit closer to what you were doing normally. I think that works now.
Are you happy with it?
Yeah, very happy.
Yeah.
An actual move. How amazing is that? I didn't even know that Will was going to be playing in my piece until about a week ago. And then I knew Will did a load of moogie sort of stuff. And there's a whole 5/4 section in the middle of the piece, which we felt just needed a bit more sort of support in terms of the weird harmonic textures that are happening in it, and Will just sort of amplified that with this amazing instrument.
It's quite psychedelic, isn't it? That
it is, yeah, exactly. That's the kind of effect I'm going for.
Well, we're practically doing the final run-throughs now, and you can really hear the whole thing coming together. We've been rehearsing almost in 2 orchestras because the Southbank Sinfonia haven't been with us all the time, so it's great to hear how it all goes together. And how relevant your part is. So the more we're playing it, the more familiar and the happy people are becoming.
It's got a bit of everything in it, all at once, and then sometimes not at all. Sometimes it's just taken straight back, and it is really subtle. So it kind of goes through every emotion and mood and colour that you could possibly think of in 20 minutes. Fabulous.
It's slightly embarrassing for me to ask you this, but I'm curious to know actually what do you make of the piece, and what do you?
Of yours?
Yeah, if you don't mind, sort of what do you make of it? What do you think? What's your favourite bit of it?
That's quite easy. I really like the section at the end.
Yeah.
I like the bit that's done in B major rather than D, just because it's suddenly got a really full. Broad tempo, and it kind of has this lovely momentum to it. But it's been really interesting hearing all the parts interlay, and I'm really enjoying having that bed of string and wind from the classical musicians, and then the interjections of different colours. So I'm really enjoying it actually.
And actually that's it, yeah. So in terms of this interaction we've been having with the Southbank Sinfonia, obviously you're not an orchestral musician per se, or not in the conventional sense. So how have you found that?
Okay, basically. Basically, until about the age of 18, 19, I actually used school an awful lot, and basically my musicianship flourished when I stopped using school, but it means I knew what the pitfalls were.
The piece, Towards Harmony, has come along really well, hasn't it? And I've been so impressed by how all the musicians in the orchestra, I've spoken a lot during the video blogs about how many of them don't play in conventional orchestras, classical orchestras. And I've written, to all intents and purposes, what is essentially a classical orchestral piece. Are you impressed as well by how actually those musicians have come into the fold?
I think it's beyond belief, actually. I mean, if you're talking about someone who comes, let's say, from a sitar playing tradition or a tabla mastery based tradition, certainly they don't work even in the kinds of harmonies that we work, let alone in the context of, 5 bars rest, 15 bars rest, or loads of material in 5 beats in a bar, you bastard. I mean, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough for a lot of people who don't come from our tradition.
Yeah.
So I think the degree to which they have applied themselves, they've just thrown themselves at it wholeheartedly, and blow me, they are delivering it. That's what's so remarkable, just in the same way and to just the same level as anybody who's got loads of orchestral experience.
And this is one of the first times that as a conductor you have conducted the Power Orchestra in a more conventional sense. So I'm sure people will be wondering, how did that work? Have you had to change your approach when rehearsing the orchestra?
Well, it's a really interesting thing, and it's something I talk about all the time, and here I am having to taste some of my own medicine. In other words, trust. Like pretty much everything that a conductor does only works if there is a supreme bond of trust between that conductor and all the players with whom they're working, a two-way sort of river of trust. Now, if you've got musicians, for instance, who don't have any sight, and they're playing a prominent rhythmic role at a certain point in the piece, obviously you don't have recourse to the usual stuff, which is that you can kind of move them on and pull them back, or kind of encourage them to heat up or cool down. They are what they are, and in a way it becomes a much more kind of like a chemical thing, or almost like osmosis. And like Matt, the lutenist, he's got that big role, sort of like foundation stone, rhythmic foundation stone to the whole of the central section of the piece. I can't move him on or drag him back because he's in a groove. Yeah. So what are we doing? We're sitting in his groove and trusting his groove. And God, man, it's so emancipating. It's free. It's totally free music making. So I'm like the cat that got the cream, really.
Fantastic. And my last question, of course, we're here in what is effectively going to become our new home in Bristol, new partnership with Colston Hall. What are your hopes for that partnership over the next couple of years?
Well, I feel it's immensely meaningful that the British Paraorchestra are moving here. I mean, up until now, sort of in a loose way, we've been based in London like so many musical institutions are. In a way, for the Paraorchestra, which is such a very particular mission and such a very particular group of musicians, it kind of needed to move out. It needed to move to another city where it could much more appropriately and easily add value. And I really believe that Bristol is wide open for it, particularly given all the passionate commitment that this hall, Colston Hall, has towards access and inclusivity, that they're spending 45 million quid on transforming their hall so that not only will it be much more accessible for wheelchair users in an audience, but actually on stage. It's creating a new level playing field where there's no barrier to anybody of any sort making music here. So I feel Bristol is the absolute hand in glove, natural home for us.
Towards Harmony was commissioned by Disability Arts Online as part of the Sound of Disability programme, featuring the British Paraorchestra and Southbank Sinfonia, filmed at Colston Hall, Bristol, on the 3rd of July 2015. Composer and presenter Lloyd Coleman. Videography Ivan Riches and Trish Wheatley. Video editor Ivan Riches. Producer Trish Wheatley. Website editor Colin Hambrook. And production support Alice Holland. Interviews in order of appearance: Adrian Lee, Will Gregory, Clarence Adu, Sonia Alori, Steph West and Charles Hazlewood, with thanks to British Paraorchestra, Southbank Sinfonia, Colston Hall, Bristol, Charles Hazlewood and Sarah Hickson. Copyright Disability Arts Online Limited, 2015. Supported by Arts Council England and the Britain Pears Foundation. Lottery funded. Supported using public funding by Arts Council England. Dow Commissions. disabilityartsonline.org.uk